Today we speak with German homeopath Andreas Tilch, who is the brain behind the new Streptococcinum Piogenes C5 Triturated Nosode. This was then manufactured by John Morgan from Helios in the UK. I also want to say a big thank you to Australian homeopath Sarah Valentini for putting Andreas and myself in touch with each other. I'm so excited to share with all of you about this wonderful new remedy, which I have already started to use in my clinic and with my family, and which I think is going to be taking the homeopathic world by storm. Andreas is going to be sharing with you a lot about this remedy today, but I absolutely recommend that you go and watch the discussion between Sarah Valentini and Andreas Tilch, which goes even more in depth and which is available free of charge by registering at streptococcinum-tilch.com. This will be in the show notes. By registering for the course, you will also be notified when Andreas's book and courses will be available in English. Hold on to your seats, homies. This is going to be a good one. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Homeopathy Hangout, where we discuss all things homeopathy from around the world. And now my mum and your host, Eugenie Kruger.
Hello, homies, and a very warm welcome to Homeopathy Hangouts. Today we have the absolutely lovely Dr. Andreas Tilch on the show. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm very, very happy to be here with you today.
So lovely to have you on. And a huge shout out to Sarah Valentini also and Tina Metz for putting us in touch with each other. I have watched your lecture and I've started taking the Streptil Nosode the past week. I'll tell you about that later.
Whoa.
Just to whet our listeners' appetite. But they're going to have to wait just a little bit longer to find out what we're talking about, because I would love for you to tell us first how you were introduced to homeopathy.
Oh, well, I started studying medicine in Munich. This was in 1982. And then I was somehow motivated to understand a little bit more about medicine. And I thought science is very interesting, and biology and chemistry and things like that. But soon after about 1 year, I was very much somehow disappointed that there's nothing about spirit, nothing about healing patterns, what is healing, what is disease. I didn't really get this in my studies. So I was very frustrated at that point. And then I thought, maybe I stop studying medicine. And after 2 years of studying, I thought, okay, I will change the place. I will go to another city and see if maybe it's better there. And there I got to know Jürgen Becker. He was my first homeopathic teacher. And already in Munich, I had heard about homeopathy. There was somebody coming from Vienna. He had said this interesting thing. And I was somehow very much alert. And I thought, oh, well, this is really interesting. And then I asked for homeopathy here in Freiburg, and I got to know Jürgen Becker, and he was my first teacher. And I was with him. I learned with him for many, many years. Unfortunately, he has passed away in 2018, but I learned a lot from him. So he was my first teacher and I worked with him in his office later for 10 years together. So he was my very close companion. And I owe everything to him. My homeopathy wouldn't be there without Jürgen Becker.
Did I hear you say right? Did you say 1982?
When I started to study medicine was 1982. When I started to know homeopathy was 1984. Yeah.
I'm really confused because you look like you're in your maybe late 40s. So I'm trying to do the maths. Like, how's that possible? Are you serious?
I'm approaching my 60th birthday on 8th of October. So this is also another thing that's going to happen soon. Yeah.
Wow. Is this your new wife that's keeping you so young, or is it the homeopathy, or what do you think's the secret?
Probably both somehow. Because but yes, and I enjoy life very much, and I try to all I can for my body, and I really enjoy I love my work. I enjoy so much working with especially since I've discovered this Streptococcinum nosode. Since I work with that, my office is just like a pleasure all the time, and I have so much wonderful, very deep experiences. And so I feel like shedded with love and everything, and just like bathing in very beautiful experiences. Of course, it's also sometimes a hard time, and sometimes you have to think, and sometimes you have to solve problems. But overall, life is very generous to me. I feel very happy and very blessed.
Oh, it's beautiful. Now, today is all about the Streptococcinum nosode, more specifically Streptococcinum tilch, which has got your surname worked in there.
Yes. Yes.
Now, there is a really amazing course that goes with this. I'll just tell our listeners straight from the bat, anybody can go and watch this course. The website is streptococcinum-tilch.com, and it's with a K in there, but we'll have it in the show notes so people can find it. Now, I recently watched this course, and then I took your advice where you say, give the nosode and the 40C to everybody in the family for 2 weeks and just see what happens. We have to experiment these things on ourselves. Now, we are 1 week into it, and I've given a bottle to all my staff for everyone to try out. I've had an interesting experience where after I took the first dose, I had this huge emotional release, and then everything has just been going along nicely. And my husband has this aggravation with his ear at the moment. So I'm like, I wonder if that's a remedy. But without confusing our listeners too much, tell us, what is this nosode? What is this remedy? And why on earth did you decide to make it?
Yeah, I talked about my first very important teacher, Jürgen Becker. But after that, there was another very, very most important teacher in my life. This is Dr. J.S. Shah. I've had also very beautiful other teachers, of course. I can mention all these names, but with J.S. Shah, there's a very, very close personal relationship, a friendship, and he feels like actually like my brother now. And I got to know him in 2006, and he came to Freiburg very often, once a year, twice a year later. And at one point in 2015, he talked about very interesting experiences that he had with Streptococcinum. And this was the old Streptococcinum without my surname in it. It was the one that Helios produced and had produced since many years before. And he had seen beautiful results with that nosode, and it was produced in England, and I ordered it. And Jayesh had said that he had seen so many wonderful results, especially in people with many flus, many nasal issues, with ear problems, with throat problems, with recurrent infections, especially when they have like fear of infection. And will my immune system be strong enough to overcome this? And so I thought that's interesting. And Jayesh had said that he's giving this remedy to so many people, and also to almost every one of his patients has at some point this Streptococcinum. It's like a SOS remedy number one in his office. As if there's an SOS situation, he tells them to take again your constitutional remedy. And when this doesn't work, take the Streptococcinum. And so this is like the first remedy outside the constitutional remedy that he would recommend in SOS situations. And he said that at one point, probably he will sit there with a very long beard and give Streptococcinum to everyone, and he will be called Streptobaba, like in India. But somehow he's not become completely Streptobaba. He gives it to everyone, but I've given it even more than him now. And because I've ordered this remedy from Helios, and then shortly afterwards I had a very, very astonishing case, a lady with various autoimmune problem after angina, and this was a very difficult case. And with my conventional remedies, I couldn't help her for 3 weeks. Nothing much would happen. And then at some point I thought, well, okay, this might be just like ailments after Streptococcus infection. So I give a try with Streptococcus 200 from Helios, which I had ordered. And the result was so amazing. You cannot imagine. It was just like after 3 days, she was in pain all the time. She needed to take painkillers. She couldn't walk. She had like inflammation of her legs. All her joints were paining. She had a chest issue, sarcoidosis of her lung. She couldn't breathe properly. She was just in a very threatened, very bad, completely immobile state, full of pain. She had to, with all these painkillers. And with this Streptococcinum 200C for 3 days, this all went like after 1 week, she could reduce her painkillers by a lot. And then all this whole thing, it just disappeared. It was just like snow melting in the sun. Yeah. And it was a very incredible experience. And so I was so astonished with that. And so I reported to my colleagues. I had made a video of that, and I had showed this video, and they all were astonished. But still, I didn't understand completely. I thought, well, this is just one extraordinary case after Streptococcus infection. But still, for 2 more years, I continued looking for conventional remedies that we know, for like individual remedies for everybody. But 1 year later, in 2016, I took that remedy first for myself. For some reason, my constitutional remedy didn't work. I had taken Natromure often and had helped me for some extent. But at that point, I had again throat infection. Natromure didn't help. And anyway, I was going to see Jayesh at a seminar, and I thought, okay, this is the day I will try the Streptococcus on myself. Took 200C and 1M, and the whole thing went away. And it was just very easy. And I had a very beautiful seminar, and so the SOS remedy worked beautifully for me at that moment. But more than that, in the following 2 years, my whole life changed in a very, very beautiful way. So many doors opened. I got to know my new wife like 3 weeks after taking this remedy, and very interesting things happened. And I felt like grace is happening to me all the time, and all the doors open. I could, after years of being stuck in a very difficult family situation with my wife, we have 4 children and we were together for such a long time. But then since some years already, we had separated and had different partners, but we couldn't live without each other, couldn't live together. And with these children, there was somehow no solution. And now all of a sudden solutions happened and very beautiful bonding happened. I had a urological operation needed to be done at that time also, which I had feared a lot before. And then it was just like going very smoothly. And I felt like my life felt like so blessed. That's what I told you in the beginning. But I didn't relate this to the Streptococcinum at all. It was just like, maybe I've meditated enough now. And so finally, God has discovered that he is going to bless me now. I didn't understand it. But then in 2018, there were some more cases. And especially one patient came back after 2 years that I treated him for throat. He had suffered from very severe allergy symptoms. I've treated him for 8 years. Nothing would really have helped him. It was going up and down. And all of a sudden, he came back 2 years later, but not because of throat problems, but because of knee issues. And I wonder, what about your allergies? And he said, well, somehow no more problem with my asthma, somehow it's gone. I don't know why. I don't understand. And then I looked it up and I saw, okay, what was the last remedy that I've given him? I've given him Staphysagra, I've given him Natromure, I've given him everything. I've given him a phosphorus, but somehow nothing much would really have done. But the last remedy that I had given him was Streptococcus 200C. And I had called him 3 weeks later and had asked him, so how are you now? How are you feeling? And he said, well, somehow now I'm fine. No, this was in 2016. I have no more allergy symptoms. No, somehow something has subsided. And since then, for 2 years, he didn't call me again. He was no longer there. So I thought, okay, this is really amazing. Something is happening. This man can be helped with just only 1 dose or 3 days that he had taken the 200C. And now 2 years later, the whole story of the allergy is gone. What has happened there? So I thought this must be a remedy. This must be very good for allergies. Yeah. And so I started all my allergy patients and I started to give it to this. I have many allergic patients in the spring, hay fever. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I started to giving it to more and more people. And they came back and they said, well, the action is, how was the remedy? And they said, oh, very positive. I feel so nicely. I feel well. I feel more at ease. I feel more relaxed. I feel more comfortable. I feel lighter somehow. I feel life is easier for me now. I feel just better and things are opening up and everything is easy. Some got more flus and so other things happening. I didn't understand it at that point, but that's when I started to really give it to a lot of people. I had phases before in my 30 years of office. I had phases where I gave China to everyone, where I gave to everyone, where I gave Streptococcus to everyone, and now I started to giving Streptococcinum to everyone.
I'm in a rose quartz phase at the moment. Everyone's getting rose quartz.
Yeah. Well, only thing is that now this Streptococcinum phase hasn't stopped. It just goes on. Yeah, it just goes on because it just doesn't disappoint me. It's just I understand that this is a remedy that is really helping so many people. And first I couldn't understand, well, is it helping everyone or not? And then I started to giving it to almost everyone. And then I saw people who took it and they said, oh, no, I don't want to take it. It's just like, it feels I get anxious. I don't know. I don't want to take this remedy anymore. And also some of the people to whom I had given it, and they were very good in the beginning. And I thought, well, this remedy is going to be very helpful for them. And I increased the potencies. I went to 10 m to 50 m to 100 m. That was the highest potency that Helios had. And this is just like for 3 years, I started only with that potency, the old Streptococcinum. And I saw very encouraging things in the beginning, but on the long run, physical issues somehow in many cases just wouldn't disappear completely or even come back. And then also the emotional things didn't go so well. So I thought, well, I need to think what could be done about that remedy. It's a fantastic remedy. It helps so many people and the resonance is so beautiful. But why this pathology? Why doesn't it go away completely? When I repeated, when I increased the potency, I had a lot of patients then with 100 m, and with 50 m taking it often repeatedly. And because I saw also in that phase that you can repeat that remedy very often. I had the one Parkinson's patient, and she took that 1 m every day, and it helped her beautifully for her freeze states. And so she took it once a day and for 4 weeks. And I thought, oh my God, that's far too much. I'm a classical homeopath. You should wait for 6 weeks at least before you repeat it. But she took it every day and she went well with it. And so after some time, I discovered that frequent repetition with this remedy is generally not a problem. It's just like bringing more of intensity and more, it's just opening up more and more. But still, I saw too many people not completely, I was not satisfied with that old remedy. So I started to think about it, and I called John Morgan from Helios. He already I had talked in United to Heal. This is like a congress in Germany. I had the possibility to Matthias Berner. He was so nice to interview me, and I had many listeners, and they all ordered this remedy from Helios. So John Morgan was already happy that I had recommended this remedy, because for weeks they had only delivered Streptococcinum to everybody all over Europe. And so he said, okay, he was ready to talk to me again, because we had talked at that time already. And I asked him, how is that remedy produced? And maybe we could make it even better than it is. And I asked him, and he said, I thought that this remedy had been triturated to the third potency, because usually you have 3 triturations and then you do liquid potentizing and triturations with lactose. But then he looked it up and he said, well, I can see this remedy is not triturated at all, because sometimes the pharmacists, they say, well, it's a lot of work triturating. So somebody's asking for it. We will just directly do a liquid potentization with our machine. So we don't have so much manpower. So many remedies in all of pharmacies are not produced with triturations, but just only liquid potentizing. So I said, oh, okay, so it's not triturated, because I knew from my teacher, Jürgen Becker, he had worked with another pharmacist, Witold Erler, and they had found out that triturations make big difference. So I thought, from my understanding that I knew before, that it would be good. I thought it would be good to triturate this remedy to the 5th potency, not only to the 3rd. And then I understood that it hadn't been triturated at all. So it was and then I asked John, could you please, what do you think? Could you produce that remedy again and do the first 5 steps by lactose trituration and then only potentizing it with liquids? And he said, well, this is a lot of work. But okay, for you, I will do it. Yeah. And then he organized to get the original source again, which he said was a very good source. It's just like sterilized and lyophilized Streptococcus culture. So there's nothing dangerous inside. So nobody could get infected by the remedy, because it has been sterilized already in the beginning. And so he personally did this trituration until the 5th trituration. And when it was ready, he said, okay, I got it. And now which potency do you want? And then I said, okay, now I want these very odd potencies that I've also understood from Witold and Jürgen. They have studied a lot, that there's a formula, and I will talk in my course, I talk also about this formula. It's like potencies of 6 times 6 is 36 plus 4 triturations. It's too much difficult to explain it now because we don't have too much time, but it's a formula. And so he produced the 40C, the 220C, the 1.3 M, and the 7.78 M. So this is the potencies that arise from that formula. Meanwhile, we have also now the 10C and the 46.66 M. So this is even
466.6.
Yeah. No, not 6. It's only 46,660. That's it. It's close to 50 M. It's close to 50 M.
Gotcha.
Yeah. The other one is close to 10 M, and the other one is close to 1 M. But it's a little bit different because the maximum of effect, that's what the formula says, should be these potencies and not the 30 and not the 200, not the 1 M, but the 220 and the 1.3. So this is just like the maximum of effect. And he said, okay, we do it. And now what should be the name of the remedy? And then he said, well, okay, I've ordered it, so it will be confusing. We could just put your name in it. And are you proud to have a remedy that is named by you? And I said, well, of course. At first I thought, oh no, we cannot. We need to. So many people have contributed to that, so we need just a long list of names. But he said, no, that's too long. We just keep it short and say it's Streptococcus, Piogenes, Tilch, C5. In brackets, and that's what it is called now. And then since I work with that remedy, I can see now many, many more wonderful cases. Even in the beginning, I was a little bit disturbed because sometimes when you take this remedy now, and I thought, okay, this will help people even more. But what happens in the beginning often is now that there are physical issues coming up because it acts much deeper. These 5 triturations, they go much more into the physical level, and it's just like opening up it goes deeper into the tissue of the body, and all sorts of traumas that are stored in the body, an old history of diseases. All this is at some point there's brought life again into these frozen things in the cells. There comes life into that, and you can see on a much deeper level physical things happening. And so in the beginning, when I took the first dose of 40C, I was so tired and I had a feeling I need to sleep. And then something fell on my leg and I had a bruise like arnica, and I felt like, oh, I have to sleep. I'm so tired. And many people, when they take 40C, especially when they are very exhausted, they become first thing that happens, they get very tired and they feel like I need to sleep. And then when you go into this, my body tells me I need sleep, and you sleep a lot. And after some time, then they come out of this, and they come out in a lot better way than before, than they had got in. It's just like people get sometimes afraid. I take this remedy and something's happening, just like what your husband says, my ear issue is coming up. I don't want to take this remedy again. My ear is going, no. But it's a very good sign. Some old symptom is coming, and it's just probably as a child, he must have had ear problems also.
He had grommets, several grommets. I said to him, I think that's what's happening.
Yeah, and then what happens with these new potencies that you get a very strong feeling what your body says, what your body feels like. You feel it just like in your body. You feel the need of your body, what your body tells you.
Do you know what? You've just made me realize I stopped drinking coffee the day after I took that remedy.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Wonderful.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't actually put 2 and 2 together, but it's been a week now, and so that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, you see what is good for you and what not. And when you follow this and you continue taking this remedy, some amazing processes is happening. What happens is just like melting of many, many, many old traumas, many old things, many things that are somehow stored in your body will at some point come out, and something comes out. And it's just like a children's disease. That what happens. Scarlatina is a children's disease, and these are the germs that make you ill with scarlatina, the Streptococcus. And it's just a children's disease. And what happens is just like acute crisis, something, I'm sick, I can't function anymore, and something needs to come out. and I listen to the signs of my body, and somebody is taking care of me, and some bonding is happening. Somebody is, the mother is sitting there with me. I give the to the mother also, because then she can sit there very nicely, and then they'll be just very relaxed, being with that state where something comes out. And then after that has happened, a lot of positive energy is coming out, and you feel like more courage and more development is happening. And this acute crisis turns out to be the starting point of a new life, completely new phase of your life. You're not turning and always in the same cycle of how I have to manage somehow this endless wheel. And all the stress goes out, and you start organizing your life in a much happier way, in a much more beautiful way. And this is what's happening with these higher potencies, especially when you give them more and more and repeat them. And it makes you more and more aware that you need just to listen to your intuition and to the signs of your body, and yet you should have the courage to follow your heart and not your brain that says it's very dangerous to follow your heart. Yeah. You could say the Streptococcus disease, what we treat there, it's too dangerous to follow your heart. There's so many threats outside. Yeah. So you need to be careful here, be careful there. So many things that you should avoid, and you should be very rigid to avoid this enemy, that enemy. This Streptococcus is just somehow the enemy itself. You don't want to have it. It should go away. And this idea, there's something threatening me outside, and Earth is a dangerous place, and this should be avoided, this should go away. And I need to contract, and I need to somehow be very strong to survive, and my immune system must be stable, and I'm anxious. Am I stable enough? That's what Jay said in the beginning. Am I stable enough? But this is not only for infections, it's just for anything. It's just like, am I stable enough to go for this trip? Am I stable enough now to talk to you and to people who will listen to me, and what will they think of me? I might feel ashamed. No, I will not dare it. Without taking the Streptococcinum all the time, I would never have dared to talk to you and to give interviews to so many people now. Yeah. So it's just like a very encouraging remedy, because all this threatened feeling, that's the feeling I'm threatened. When that goes away, when that leaves you, then you have somehow feel more relaxed. That's what all the people also feel with the untriturated remedies sometimes, many of them. But now with this new version, you go more into a deeper releasing of old traumas on the physical level also. And it's also on the mental level. It's much because you have more grounding. It's just like these 5 triturations, they make you very stable on this planet. It's just like you're not only growing the old untriturated ones. It's just like you look at everything from a very, very high place, but the root of the tree is not stabilized enough. It's just like you have a feeling, oh my God, I look at the whole problem from very high up, but there's not the solid earth is not, it's just the anchor is not strong enough. So that's why it didn't work for so many people, because the anchor is, you don't feel this anchoring so much. You have the distancing of things. You think things are lighter. You see it from a lighter view of, you see whole things from outside, and things are not so ugly when you look at them from far away. But still your basement under your house is not clean. And so you need to also do some work also to get solid ground under your feet. And that's what happens with the C5 trituration. And you get this solid ground. And you have this looking at from very high up. And so you are and this happens in so many people you cannot imagine. I give it now in my office for everyone. Anyone who comes in and who says, I'm not completely at ease, said there's something, I have some worries are there in my mind. In the moment that somebody is worried, this is the moment when I give them Streptococcinum. When you don't have any worries, and you're completely free of any anxiety, and you feel like completely happy, and you feel like God himself on this planet, and you feel, I'm so blessed with everything, then maybe you shouldn't take it. You would not see anything. But anybody who is a little bit tense at any time in the daytime or nighttime, or who is afraid of getting tense, for him, I give this remedy, and I see so many good results. And it's just like a very general key for the human consciousness and for human operating system, you could say. And also for animals. You can give it to animals and you will see animals just healing like anything.
My God. We have this
incredible.
donkey that we just got, and I didn't know how wild he was when we got him. I'm going to give him a remedy. He's going to choose this donkey.
Yeah, give it to horses. I've seen now cases of traumatized or very anxious dog who had some issue in from some trauma, and he couldn't have any noise would make him shiver. He wouldn't go out. And we have reports of people, they give him, first they gave 40C and it was even worse, but something was aggravated. But then she decided to give the very high potency, 46,660. And with that, for 2 weeks, the whole dog is completely changed. Now he goes out, he doesn't even notice any noises. He doesn't care of noises, and he's completely free. So you can see also animals doing very well, because it's just like anxiety on Earth. Earth, I'm here on Earth, and it's a dangerous place. That's the idea of Streptococcinum.
Well, Chili here on my lap, for those on YouTube or Rumble, has got no worries. He is the most chilled cat on the planet. That's why he's called Chili. So he does not need Streptococcinum.
No, he doesn't need it. But I gave it to our cat, very old cat, and this was very old cat, and she always was somehow very anxious and wouldn't go to people. And then at some point she got some sneezing or something, and I gave her, that was the old Streptococcinum. I gave her the 200C at that point. And the next day, this cat was already 15 years old or something, and he was just jumping around just jumping into and playing like a very, very little cat. And all this "don't touch me" just went away like anything. It's just marvelous, also beautiful remedy for animals. And it's just the animal in us is somehow healed when we take it. And this anxious animal that is somehow present in all of us. And that when that feels better, then also our consciousness opens up for very deep spiritual things happening, and you feel like much more widening and much more love and much more communication. And when you give this to all in your family, after some time of things coming out, the communication in families is getting better and better and better, and they understand each other better, and there's a lot more love. And even people who have fought for a long, long time and could not be together at all, sometimes they come together again, and they are in the best love that they ever had, more than ever. Yeah.
Okay, I have to ask you something there. So does everybody in the family need to take it, or only one person in the family, and that energetically affects the rest of them? Or what's been your experience?
Yeah, when only one person takes it, also a lot of things happen usually, because then this one person looks at all the other ones with a lot of more love, because instead of anxiety, what happens is your operating system is more love-filled. So when your operating system is more love-filled, you see all of these other people also in more love, and your love is healing them, and they feel more accepted as they are. And you see a lot of people being well, only if one person in the family takes it. But when you give this remedy to all in the family, then this is even enhanced, because then all of these people, they go out to their friends, and their friends also, they benefit from a much more love-filled friend. And so all the surroundings, it's just the network is growing. And then when the network is growing, then the whole family also is better, because then you have just like a huge network of love-filled people. And this is what happens on the long run. It's now 2 years that I work with this C5 Triturated, and I can see people taking it from the beginning. I've seen people now taking it every day in very high potency, 46,660 every day since 8 months. And it's a beautiful, very beautiful thing happening. This allergy going completely gone. And you see so many very beautiful cases, but it's just like a melting process. It's not, you give it once and everything is there. It's just like melting it and cleaning it and coming out and bringing it out. And the more you take it, the better your feeling of life is, and the better the family is, and for society, I also think that is good. I think everybody should take it.
I was going to say, do you think we should just like sprinkle it in all the waterways, all the waterways, and just because it sounds like all the contraceptive pills and stuff that's polluting our waterways with xenoestrogens and I don't know, everything else. We'll just go put it in the ocean and everywhere else. If they can medicate us suppliers, we can probably medicate it back. Yeah. But I've got a couple of questions for you. Yeah. Also, why do you think Streptococcinum or the Streptococcus bacteria is so rampant? It sounds like a miasmatic remedy almost in itself. Like, why, of all the bacteria that are there, and that's if you believe in bacteria, and Ariana Zappa's interview will be coming up before yours, so our listeners would have listened to that already by the time they get to this one. So if there's such a thing as bacteria, why is Streptococcus such a rampant, insidious blanket bacteria that's affecting everybody so much?
I think there's a very close similarity of this Streptococcus to our being as a human being. There's some similarity between these two species. And Jayesh also, he's written in the foreword, he's written a foreword to my book. I have written a book in German, only it's not, we are thinking how can we make it available also in English. My publisher thinks about it. But Jayesh has written a foreword in my book. And there he writes also that he has tried many nosodes, many other bacteria, but the Streptococcus is also, in his experience, just like the deepest and by far there's something special about this Streptococcus in comparison to other nosodes. And what I would say is, it is this idea of threat. And because it's a threat for a child. It's just like the first real big threat from the bacterial world to a child. In every kindergarten, everybody has it, and you have this throat infection. And this is very, very, this choking feeling and this feeling, oh, I can't breathe anymore, I can't swallow anymore. This is a huge threat because the throat is just like your central pipeline. It's just like when no more resources, you cannot breathe in the oxygen. There will be no more oxygen. There will be no more liquid. You cannot. All your needs will be threatened by this Streptococcus. So this is very, very central issue. It could deprive you from all your resources, and when this gets worse, you could die straight away, or you could have some really bad, ugly disease afterwards it could damage your heart, it could damage your kidneys. So they are very, very enemy germs. You don't want them at all. Nobody would say, please, Streptococcus, come into my system. I would be happy to be with you for some time. Feel happy to, You just want to get them out. They're dangerous, very instantly dangerous, and also on the long run dangerous. They are very, this is the thing you don't want. And it is very general. And also for the first thing that a mother thinks about, oh, well, my child has Streptococcus. This is very dangerous. This should go away. And we need maybe we need to kill these germs. They are very bad. They want to destroy us. And so this is the enemy thinking. And this is the feeling of the human being, Homo sapiens, and also of cat and of dog, most probably. They are here in this womb, and they're somehow incarnated, and they have a body. And this body feels like, oh, there's anxiety and there's something choking me and something, I need resources and I need oxygen and will I have enough, and I need to survive. There's this survival instinct. I need to survive. And anybody who has an issue with surviving will most probably react very nicely on this remedy. It's just when you don't have anxiety to survive, you will no need to take it.
I wonder also with all the use of antibiotics as well, if that hasn't maybe created like a bit of a picture, like antibiotics have been used. It'd be interesting to know for how many years for strep specifically, but I wonder if we've maybe created like a bit of a monster.
And the monster, this is what there's this saying, what you resist persists. And it's just like you want to get it away with antibiotics, you want to get it away, you don't want it. But it keeps hunting you, and it keeps being, the monster is still there. And this is just very much the Streptococcinum attitude. There's the monster, I try to kill it, but I can't get rid of it, but it's still dangerous, and I hope it will not come back, and I need to do many things in order to avoid it, and to what needs to be done. And this is very much the human thinking, because there's this anxiety, it's just like in the very, very basic brain, and then there's the human imagination, what needs to be done now to get rid of this danger. And this is all this is very much Streptococcinum mentality, you could say. This is like the human mind works. And this is anxiety-based, and it's not love-based. You don't look at these Streptococcus, oh, here, my dear friends, welcome, please enjoy my throat. And this is also like a human being feels in the womb of the mother, very anxious. Oh my God, where I am now, I have a body, and well, this is very stressful here. Is still God with me, or am I completely alone? The Streptococcus feeling is very much, I'm completely isolated. I'm alone. I have no friends. And I have a very big anxiety that nobody loves me, that there's no connection. Yeah. And so the Streptococcus disease is no connection, like a baby in the womb that feels no connection. And with the Streptococcinum, you get into a state where you feel connected everywhere, and where you feel like so much connected to your body, where you feel connected to earth, where you feel connected to higher realms. And then it brings a lot of connection. But this goes through acute crisis, and it's just like an acute remedy. And so you have to experience an acute crisis in a way that you feel trust, and that after that acute crisis, your trust increases. And that's what the remedy helps you.
That's really interesting. I had this in my mind 24/7. And I was thinking the other day after another call and an email from a client who's had an aggravation. And I was thinking, and I always explain to my clients that it's usually a good sign, return of old symptoms, your body's just the vital force is kicking healing into gear. But somehow we got to this place where any sort of inconvenience that we experience, any sort of pain, it needs to go away. We shouldn't experience pain. And it's actually, it's so worrying, because so many mums, when their babies have a bit of teething pain from the youngest age, they just smash them with what we call Panadol over here. And I'm like, sometimes it's actually okay to feel that pain. Like, it's actually okay. You're going to be fine. It's going to make you stronger. And I think always wanting to suppress things and oh, my child shouldn't experience pain, that to me, I'm sure, leads to pathways for addiction later on, because I feel the tiniest bit of pain, my boyfriend dumped me, now I have to go take drugs and alcohol to not feel that pain. And this is where I think about Hahnemann. He worked so hard to not have aggravations, but I don't necessarily think aggravations are a bad thing. Like, when my clients have an aggravation, I just talk them through and I explain what's happening. But it's actually not a bad thing. And so I don't, and sometimes homeopathy is so gentle that people feel it doesn't do anything, and so they don't come for their follow-ups. But if they just came for their follow-ups, we could show them how many things have improved. So sometimes I'm always glad when a client has an aggravation, because I'm like, well, at least it's working. You can't say it's placebo.
Yeah, very good. What you say now is just like the complete story of the Streptococcinum. It's just this idea that the aggravation is something that is a threat for me, then you need to avoid it, then you need to suppress it. And then you need to, because you will shiver, it's just like a matter of survival. If this is going worse, then you imagine, oh my God, if I cannot work, I will lose my job, I will lose my flat, there's a lot of anxiety, worries going up. So because of that, you try to suppress everything, because you're not stable. But what happens when you take the Streptococcinum is, instead of just, I need to just stay stable, I need to stay straight, but I'm already almost going down, but I need to go up again. I don't want to go more down. I need to go up. Well, how can I get back up again? And you get very, very crampy and very stiff in remaining like this all the time and functioning all the time. And this is very, very stressful to lead a life like this. I should never fall down. And with the Streptococcinum, you get more, because this threatened feeling is going away. And then some aggravation happens and you think like, oh God, I cannot do anything anymore. Oh, I think, my pain is so much. But I somehow, on the other hand, I can really enjoy having some free time now. I don't have to go to my work for 3 days. And it's so nice that my wife is there and she takes care of me so nicely and she brings me a cup of tea and she hugs me and it's so nice. And I think I stay even more like this. It's wonderful. And then you start enjoying not doing, but just being and enjoying. And then you will start to discover how nice it is to just being carried by this earth, and then symptoms go away. and you feel better, but you still feel, oh, well, I think it's not yet time to get up. Oh no, you need some more time. Yeah. And then that's what I do. I give a lot of, tell them, stay at home for 1 more week. It's fine. Yeah. And then after that 1 more week or whenever, then they say, oh, somehow life is interesting. I want to do something outside. And then they start dancing again. And then from a completely different, instead of being cramped in this functioning position, they come from this, okay, I enjoyed lying there. I enjoy doing nothing. I enjoy this being just with whatever. Sometimes also in this state, some things come up, old issues come up, old feelings come up. You feel like some old sadness coming out. Sometimes you start weeping. You feel, oh my God. Now, and for this to resolve, you need this state of not doing. You need this being a little bit in a state of not doing and just being aware. And then you can feel, oh my God, I can still feel this anger to this person. And this is coming out, but your skin rash is going away. And also, so the emotions come and they go and you look at them nicely. And then after some time, this thing is just like disappeared and you come back and you're just like a child again, and you enjoy what we're going to do today. And this is, you see a lot of flourishing. It's just like people flourishing. And instead of being cramped in this functioning, they are more themselves, more at ease, and in a very deep way, a beautiful development that you can see. And it's just fantastic.
That's incredible. Anybody listening, we better warn Helios, they're going to be inundated with orders. And for anyone in Australia, I do have the Streptococcus Nosode as well, so you can get it through my shop too. See, this is a bit of a side thing, but this is one of the things that I often think is a little bit unfair, because if somebody wanted to buy this remedy, they don't buy it from you, they buy it from somewhere like Helios. So and actually I'm interviewing Danitza Appeline tomorrow as well, and she has created a few remedies as well. And I would really like to see in the homeopathic field either like a kickback or a commission or something going to the person who created the remedy or who was inspired to make that remedy. But that's another conversation to have down the track. But any of our listeners, they can get the remedy through Helios. Danitza Appeline and I will have a discussion about how we're going to change this psychology and homeopathy, where more of the, what we call royalties, that would be the word, like the royalties of the remedy should go to the person that, there's inspiration behind it. But that aside, for our listeners, please make sure you check out streptococcinum-tilch.com. That's tilch.com. And you can go sign up. So they enter their details, their email address, and then they will get an email. And after they get that email, then you can log in and watch the video with the lovely Sarah Valentini.
Yeah, I need to say this, what we published there is not really a course. This is just 2 videos one was just a Zoom call with you, with Sarah, just 3 months ago.
Well, it felt like a course. It was 2 hours and it was so much information. So it felt like
it was quite a lot of information. But we're going, we have created a course in German, and this is now my intention to earn money is not by selling this remedy, because I feel I don't deserve, it's the idea, giving the idea. I'm very happy. When I will be 70 years, I would be very happy that this remedy is in just like every pharmacy. But it should be. But so far I try to earn a little bit of money by teaching and bringing it to people. This is what I like to do. And so our course, it has been established, and it's like a 10-hour video course or 9.5 hours video course. And we are planning to translate it into English. Amazing. And so if you are this is already ready. We have sold it in Germany like 2,000 times or something, but so far. But we want to have it now in English. And so if you feel like interested in this course, please sign in. You can write this Streptococcinum -tilch. No, it's like minus tilch.com. Hyphen. And you could write it also with 3 C's, because it's the same, it will lead to the same page. Anyway, but when you sign in there, we will inform you about this English course.
When the course is ready. That will be,
when the course is ready.
Incredible.
Because there will be a period when it will be like a cheaper price for some time. And so when you sign in, you will straight away know about it and then have it for a good price. Yeah.
And then also you will notify us when your book is available in English, because it's only in German at the moment. And ich verstehe sie nicht in Germany.
Yeah.
So you have to
Yeah.
have it in English or Afrikaans. I can still read some Afrikaans, but definitely in
Oh,
English will be
wonderful.
really
Yeah.
wonderful. But yeah, hopefully you notify us once we sign up for the course, and you have our email addresses. Notify us when the book is in English available, and when it's available, the course is available in English. And I am really excited for all our practitioners that are listening that are going to be using this in their practice. I've already prescribed it 3 times in the last week since I've had the remedy. 2 of them for children who have fear of choking. So I'm excited to hear how that goes. So they're 18 months old and hardly eating any food, just wanting to have milk the whole time and they have the tiniest bit of food and they will choke. And the other one was with a child with pandas. So I am very excited to hear how these cases go. So thank you so much for sharing your knowledge today. It was just way too quick. That felt like 5 minutes. So thank you so much, Andreas. I really appreciate you coming on today.
Yes. Thank you so much, Eugenie. It was a big pleasure. And thank you, everyone, for listening to this. And just would like to encourage you to give it a try and not to give up at the first crisis, but just to go through these crises with a lot of trust and a lot of love. And then you will see very beautiful developments. Amazing. So all the best for you. Thank you so much. Auf Wiedersehen.